Good morning, guys. So in this lecture, we're going to talk about what is identity protection. So this article been updated on the 7th of this month. So identity protection allows organization to establish three key tasks: automated the detection and remediation of identity-based risk, investigate risk using data in portal, export risk detection data to other tools. So this is on auto-generated, expert-generated, and end-user-generated. Showing you risky users, risky sign-in, and risky app. So identity protection uses the learning Microsoft as a required for their position in organization with Active Directory, with Azure Active Directory, the consumer space with Microsoft account, and in gaming with Xbox to protect your users. Microsoft analyzes trillions of sign-in per day to identify and protect customers from threats. The signal generated by the Fed to identity protection can be further fed into tools like conditional access to make access decision, or fed back to a security information and event management SIEM tool for further investigation. Now, why is automation is important? Let's kind of talk about this here. Analysis, 24 trillion security signal combined with intelligence we track by monitoring more than 40 nation state group and over 140 threat groups. So detect risk. You can look at this yourself. I know anonymous IP addresses use a typical travel malware link IP address, unfamiliar sign-in properties, leaked credential, password spray. So investigation risk. So administrator can review detection and take manual action on them if needed. There are three key reports that administrator use to investigation in identity protection. So risky user, risky sign-in, and risk detection. So risk level, make further use of risk information. So guys, require roles and stuff. So global administrator can do full access to identity protection. Security administrator, full access to identity protection, and can reset password for user. Security operation, view all identity protection report and overview. Configure what they can do. They can configure or change policy. Dismiss user risk, confirm safe signing, confirm compromise. They can reset password for a user. I mean, this is a topic you could come and look at yourself. Now, security operator can do. They can view all identity protection reports and overview. They can't configure or change any policy. They can dismiss user risk, confirm safe signing, confirm compromise, and they can reset password for a user and confirm alerts. So security reader, the role of security reader They can view all identity protection reports and overview, but they can't configure or change any policy. They can't reset a password for the user. They can configure alerts. They can't give feedback on detection. Now, global reader, they can read only access to identity protection. Now, they're going to licensing, guys. Capability, risk policy, detailed signing, and user risk policy via identity protection or conditional access. So Azure AD free, Microsoft 365, it's a no. And the Azure AD Premium P1, it's a no. So Azure AD Premium P2, it's a yes. So these are important because we're going to be using this for a scenario of a fictitious design that we'll be doing. Now, for security report, the details overview, the Azure AD free Microsoft 365, it's a no. The Azure AD Premium is a no. The Azure AD Premium P2 is a yes. The security report, risky user, limited information, only users with medium and high risk are shown, no detailed drawer or risk history. For the P1 license, the limited information, only users with medium and high risk are shown, no detailed drawer or risky history. And for the P2, it's a full access. So look at this yourself. Let me jump into the little scenario I prepared here. So I call this a design for identity security. So there's 4 steps into this. The first step, we're going to give you a scenario of a particular company with a security issue. Excuse me. Then we're going to talk about the existing environment, the requirements, and the solution. Now, we can chat. We just remember that this is just a fictitious scenario. It's really just to help build that brain muscle memory. So how can we move through these? The way we're going to move to the steps is that the scenario, we have to pull out the information that we need and try and build a solution that will work. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this. Like I said, so here's the scenario. The ABC widget, we have a fictitious company that manufactured and sell widgets across the globe. And the ABC company is on the pathway through a year-long migration and transformation journey to Azure. But however, as part of that migration, sadly that they have encountered some cybersecurity issue. So after experience a recent cybersecurity incident, the company has engaged the services of a cloud security consultancy and is seeking advice on a high priority improvement. Now, a third-party cloud security consultancy, some information to get some advice on some high priority improvements, guys. That I should make sure they get too far along in the transformation search. Now, the existing environment, before they get too far, the company has recently had workloads both on premises and within Azure. So they're using Azure AD Premium P1 licensing is in use. And in order to support the company internal application and infrastructure, the company has an internal IT support team. Now, however, the IT support team is comprised of help desk staff, database administrator, and developers. All IT staff currently have full administrative access to the Azure subscription, unfortunately. And to help manage internal finances, the company has developed a web app called Finance. The web app has been migrated to the Azure and leverage Azure AD for authentication. Now, what are the requirements? The company widget has established several key requirements through workshop with security consultant. The following improvement has been recommended. First, the IT support access and security must be improved. Second, the principle of least privilege should be followed. Third, the IT staff privilege should only be active as needed. Fourth, requests for privilege access must be required approval. For approval, I would say. Now, the ABC Finance web application requires the following. Multi-factor authentication must be required whenever the application is accessed outside of the head office. And second, the signing to the app must be blocked if they appear risky. Now, you could pause this video and think of a solution, of a possible solution. Let's say design solution, of a possible design solution that you think that will meet the goal of this company. What are your possible solutions? What do you think as a solution? Now remember, they have an internal IT support team to support as the environment as well as the internal application and infrastructure. Now, currently, this IT support team has a range of different team members: help desk, database, admin, let's say, help desk, database admin, and developers, and all of those IT teams members currently have full administrative access to the Azure subscription. And this actually is something that you need, you might commonly see in the real world. So I'd say it's really quite common to get out there and have a project. It's on the way. A lot of people that have full access kindly with these, with these view of just give everyone full access right now, and we will cut off that access later once the project get to be handed. Well, I would definitely encourage you in the real world, be very careful about doing what things start off is temporary, have a real tendency to become permanent. So it's better to do a setup your reference environment, set up all of the access that you need, and then be sure that even if things come on choices to help manage internal finances, the ABC widget also have a web application. So uh, what is the possible solution that you have? Well, you may have different point of views, but I come up with this as a solution that will meet their requirement. Okay, so remember, this is just a possible solution for a scenario to get you to think about what can build these type of things for, I mean, to to secure an environment with a particular request as a solution architect. So more likely, the one solution for this scenario we know, and we have say, okay, so we have an environment that got on the primary source on premises users, and they have remote users, and have some remote users, and we have an Azure subscription. So we have an Azure subscription. There we go. Associated in already. So they're already set up, already ready to go. We also have our on-premises ABC Finances app. So remember this ABC Finances app, we have a number of important recommendations. So first, they asking for multi-factor authentication must be used whenever the app is accessed outside of the head office. And we could do also the sign in to, the sign in to the app must be blocked. Should it be risky? Now, what are the recommended is the solution as we start off with Azure, the conditional access for the ABC. We going to allow access when the user use the multi-factor authentication. But what we do to meet the requirement, as you might remember, for the Azure AD conditional access, there is a geographic location. So trusted location and someone. So I would say, why don't we go ahead and set up a conditional access policy? So the way to resolve this issue, I would say, could say this. Hold up. Is that okay? So I would say first, I will need Azure AD conditional access. Sorry. For the ABCD finance app. And also, it's conditional, sorry, it's conditional, conditional. And also, we can allow access when using MFA we're going to exclude the head office non-location. Okay. On location. Close. Now the other thing again we could do, we can deny access. We can deny access when identity protection identities any level of risk. Now, remember, so why don't we go ahead and set up, so what we do is, right, because location doesn't have to be trusted, but we could also do that if we desire, so that's going to make that requirement for that. If I happen to be used when access it's provided outside of this office, and what we could do is have an access policy that is going to block access for all users when identity protection identifies that there is some risk. Remember, there are two separate services as your ID conditional access pass with those conditional policies. But different scenario for this identity protection as focus on evaluating whether there is any risk to do with all signing on a user account. And remember, we can combine those two. Conditional access can leverage that risk as part of the condition be put into conditional access policy for the solution. So if we also have identity protection as part of the services, we can meet the need of the requirement, and that's going to help with whether they are user on premises, from on premises or remote policies. That's going to be blocked that access based on the risk if the identity any if they identify any risk, any risk suspicious. Now, if we focus on the other section of the requirement, remember that we had a set of recommendations for IT support personnel, whether they were on like database admin or IT help desk administrator, developers, whatever it might be. So we know that we know that what we really want to do is follow the principle of least privilege. And to do so, we can just use our rollback access control, which right there. So our rollback access control and user and use as your ID role if there's any functionality that requires in the tenant as well. So that's going to meet our first requirement. But to take this to the next level, to actually ensure that we only provided access as when is it needed, we we must use, we must use the access of least privilege. Now, the other thing again we could do is that the other thing we could do is to provide security. Let's say we can implement privilege. We can implement privilege identity management. Spam just in time privilege access management. Also, we could require a wall elevation approval. Now, last but not least, we're actually I want you to think about what type of Azure AD license we currently have. We currently have licenses, so we will need to have sufficient privilege at present. So we actually know that we didn't have sufficient license because we have used the Azure AD conditional access policy with risk. So we needed to use the identity protection functionality with those requirements. So Azure Active Directory Premium P2 license all have to use. And also privileged identity management is another feature that requires premium P2 license. So for this solution, we would have to upgrade from existing premium AD P1 license into P2 privileged identity management and identity protection. So we would need to upgrade as part of the requirement to upgrade to Azure AD Premium P2 licensing to support PIM plus identity protection. So guys, that should meet all the requirements that we need in order for us to perform this. Just erase this. Just to perform this architecture. So we have a prem user, we have remote user. So in order for them to access this app, they're gonna have to use the multi-factor authentication. They're also gonna have to use the role-based access control, the privilege of, the they have to follow the principle of least privilege. And the Azure environment is already there, so they have the subscription. So they basically, now for the app, we're gonna use geolocation. And if someone is logging, is tried to attempt once or twice to log into the app, they're gonna have to they're gonna have to deny access when identity protection identifies any level of risk. So I would say that's basically everything that we will be done to accomplish this scenario. So again, this is just a fictitious design that we do for identity security. I go to scenario, there go the existing environment, there go the requirements, and we provide them with a solution. So there go the solution. All right, guys, thank you for following along. Stay tuned for another lab. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.